Hey friends, welcome to this class for self-love and acceptance. So as this is a community class, you'll hear cues throughout to help you if you're trying to conceive, if you're pregnant, or if you're early postpartum. So just listen out for those cues if you're in one of those particular stages. Today's class though will be quite gentle, quite loving. Our intention through this practice is to help us reconnect to that inner voice and to that inner feeling of connection with the self. So sometimes throughout these transitions of motherhood, we start to feel a little bit lost in who we are, whether that be because we've had a long journey trying to conceive and we've become so involved in that process, whether it's because we're pregnant and everything is starting to change and it's like, whoa, what am I going to be doing once this baby arrives? Or perhaps you have a babe in arms or children underfoot and you're feeling like there's no time for me anymore and I don't know who I am anymore. So I'd like for this practice to be a bit of a guiding light home. Home to you, home to that inner voice, that inner knowing. And I hope that you enjoy this class today. So let's just start in a comfortable seat. If you're not comfortable sitting flat on the ground, bring something underneath the hips to lift those hips a little bit higher than the knees. So a bolster would be really good for this. And we're just going to start with some pelvic circles. So just allowing ourselves to get into our body. So you might like to close down the eyes. I'm going to work with a bit of a mantra today. So this is just like an affirmation, some words to set the intention. And that mantra today is, I love you and I'm listening. And we say it with the intention of holding our heart in this space. And even if you're feeling a little bit unsure about yourself, a little bit negative towards yourself, we keep saying, I love you and I am listening. So keep breathing as you roll around. Just letting the upper body stir up the lower body, moving through the hips. And then reversing your circles. Good. And then come to take both legs out wide. So again, if your hips are really tight, if your hamstrings are tight, it's going to feel a lot better with the hips up a touch higher. You don't have to have the legs as wide as me. They could be in a little bit more if your inner thighs are quite tight as well. And I just want you to lift the knees and kind of rock the hips from side to side. So you should feel the weight shifting from sit bone to sit bone. So you might have to bend through the opposite knee to get those hips to move. So just a little bit of hip mobility here. Again, it is a little bit easier if you're not quite as wide. Just shifting through the hips. Always important to work through the hips throughout all of these stages. And then just reach the left hand down. Let's find some space through the side body. Right arm up and over. And I want you to feel into your body. How is it feeling today? How does it feel to make space in the side body? Does it feel icky? And if it does, can you ease off? Can you make space to gently move into things rather than pushing into things, feeling like you have to jump in head first? Let's start easing ourselves in, just like we might do for children. We don't throw them into a new experience straight out. We ease them in. We talk about it first. We might do a little bit of an introduction to it, a little bit of a taster with you there, and then we might start to give them a little bit more independence. So see if you can ease yourself into all movements today in the same way. Breathing into that side body. And then take the hand around. It can find a plant if you've got one behind you, or it can find the floor, or it might find the opposite hip. Doesn't really matter. We're just going to look over that right shoulder. Keep that length through the spine, so sitting up nice and tall. And maybe coming back to that mantra, I love you, I am listening. Good. Gently release. Right hand down, right leg. Again, let's ease ourselves into this practice. So maybe just stay here. Maybe you don't extend that arm. If you want to, big breath in, take it nice and slow. And just notice where the mind goes. I know for me that I tend to, not always, but sometimes go into negative self-talk when things feel uncomfortable, which stretching can feel uncomfortable. Like when you're in it, it doesn't always feel like, that feels good. Sometimes it's like, oh, my body's so tight. That feels yuck. I don't want to do this. And you go into this negative spiral. Instead, can you just breathe into maybe what feels a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit difficult. And remind your body, I love you. I'm listening. Good. Slowly return that hand down. So again, down to the mat behind you or the opposite hip, gently looking over the shoulder. And releasing back to the front. Bring the soles of the feet in towards each other. The knees fall out to the side. So you can take the feet as far away from the body to make this as comfortable for you as you need, or in close, you want a little bit more stretch through the inner thigh. So just gently let the knees fall to the side. Sit into the sit bones. So feel those sit bones pressing down so that the crown of the head can lift tall, and then gently lean forward. Maybe it's a little rock here from side to side. A little bit juicy in those hips if they're feeling tight. Just like you would rock and soothe a baby, you can gently rock and soothe the hips as well if they're feeling a bit tight. Good. Coming to sit back up. Allow the legs to cross. And bring the hands to heart. Remind yourself, I love you. I'm listening. Bring the hands to prayer. Interlace the fingers. Inhale the elbows up. We do a few rounds of circle of joy. As we exhale, round through the upper back. So let the hips rock back if they need. Inhale, rise, hands to sky. And then exhale, just sweep them down beside the body. Good. Slowly bring them back to heart. Touch in, a little reminder, I love you, I'm listening. Interlace the fingers, elbows rise, inhale. Exhale, press the hands away. Inhale, rise. And exhale, release the hands down. So maybe this mantra starts to become a part of your daily life whenever you move into those negative mindsets. You might catch yourself throughout the day running on this negative script. And can you just take a moment, hands to heart? I love you. I'm listening. Instead of staying on that negative script. Inhale, one more. Exhale, press away. Inhale, rise. Exhale, release. Hands to heart, touchstone. I love you. I'm listening. Good. Release the hand down to the side. So you might be able to bring the forearm down. You might just stay up on the hand. Work out what's best for you. See if you can try and keep this opposite sit bone grounded. So find where that position is for you. So it's almost to the ground for me. You might be with a straight arm and that's okay. And then I just want you to creep this arm up the body. So almost as if you're Gently touching in on all the parts of you that are stretching. And then slowly creep this hand up and over. Really gently. Maybe not finding full extension, maybe stopping here if that's enough. If you can find full extension, breathe into that side body. Good, and then roll down. Let's creep the hands all the way to the opposite side. Palm finds the mat, maybe the forearm, maybe not. And then again, just gently touch the body where you stretch as you guide the hand up and over. You might notice one side is more flexible than the other. Breathing here. Good, slowly coming all the way back up. Just give yourself a moment just to sit in center. And then let's come over onto our hands and knees. So setting up the hands underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips, as we move through a few rounds of our cat-cow. So really gently here, especially if you're pregnant, not arching too much through the back. If that's feeling uncomfortable, you can keep it just to a little bit of a pelvic tilt if that's better. Inhale the head and neck. Exhale, round through the spine, looking towards the thighs and really pressing into the hands. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Release the spine to tabletop. You should take the left leg out behind you. So you're going to really have to press into the right shin for your balance here. See if you can straighten that leg as much as possible. Keep nice and strong through the hands. So we're just going to stay here today. Breathing here. Noticing perhaps what comes up in the mind. Good. And then we're going to bring that knee behind the opposite knee and come to take a seat. This might feel a little bit weird. We're coming down into our cow pose. So legs are crossed over each other. If this is too much, you can loosen the legs out. You can maybe just cross at the ankles instead. But if it feels okay, and I realize we're off by mat, sometimes you have to live on the edge, live a bit dangerously. So you need to take a breath in here, find length through the spine, and then just gently lean forward. If you're pregnant and very pregnant and your belly this is too much for you, you can just stay sitting upright. Breathing here. If it's okay, you can gently lean forward. If this bottom knee doesn't feel nice, you can also take it out straight. And just breathing here as you gently lean forward. You should be feeling it in the hip, maybe in the glute a little bit. Soften the shoulders. We tend to hold these tight. Maybe even start to release the head and neck down. Good. Coming back up here. So we're going to come back up and over. So if you need to, you can untangle the legs and just come over, or you can gently rock the body forward, bring the knee back down, and bring it back out. Take a little rock from side to side here. Good. Get yourself balanced and steady. So spread the fingers, press into the fingertips. Right leg lifts out behind you. And then gently bring that right knee behind the left. We come to take a seat down. Yes, I'm going to be facing behind me. That's okay. You can still see what I'm doing, hopefully. Soften the shoulders down, find the sit bones sitting up, adjusting the legs if you needed to before, and then gently leaning forwards. Let the shoulders be soft, head, neck, face relaxed. Good, next breath. Coming to sit back up. Again, you can untangle the legs, get back to tabletop however you like, or you can rock over the legs. Bring the knees back underneath the hips. Come back to our little rock from side to side, releasing out any tight spots. Good. And then we're going to gently press the tops of the shins into the floor as we lift the right hand out. So just straight out in front of you to start. You might have a little bit of core engagement going on, but it should still be quite nice and gentle, that it's okay for pregnancy. And then inhale, see if you can lift it up higher and just exploring bringing that arm back and all the way down. Good, opposite side, inhale, reach forward. See if you can keep your neck long by looking towards the fingers. And then inhale, reaching up, just exploring how this feels in your body. Bringing the hand back down. Nice. Let's bow down to ourselves. Reach the hands forward, puppy pose. So the forehead comes towards the floor. If this is too much, 2 fists underneath the head will make it more gentle. Bow down to yourself. Remind yourself, I love you. I am listening. Good. Slowly coming back up. Walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. We're going to bring the right hand in the middle of the chest now, and then the right knee in that same line. Bring the foot out towards the back as we come into our modified side lunge. So extend the other leg out, reach the hand to sky. You could bring the hand onto the hip if that feels better, or even the belly. Just breathing here. If you want to extend and challenge, explore how this feels in your body today, you could lift that back leg up. Breathing here. And if you want to add on a little bit, you could inhale, draw that knee in. Exhale, send it out. So lots of options. If you're pregnant, if you're menstruating, if you're feeling like you need to take it a little more gently today, just stay here. If you want a little bit more heat, inhale, draw it in. Exhale, extend it out. Inhale. And exhale. So again, option to rest the foot down, or find the foot with the hand, press the foot into the hand. Open up through the chest, let the heart crack open, stretching through the hip as well. Notice the shakes your body might have. And then we slowly return all the way down. Come back to that tabletop. Let's rock it out side to side. Breathe it in. Breathing out. Good. Let's change sides. So again, left hand in front of the chest, left knee in line, the foot comes to behind us. Stretch that right leg out, maybe stretch the arm out, maybe find the hip. Completely up to you. If you want to add on, you could extend that leg, inhale it in, and exhale it out. Inhale, and exhale. Inhale, and exhale. Inhale, and exhale. Maybe you find that foot in the hand. Maybe you skip it on this side. That's okay too. Listening involves responding. So if you're feeling like I'm feeling too hot, I need to rest, come to your child's pose and rest. If you want more expansion, you want a challenge, then come here. Neither is right or wrong, not is better or worse. Let's slowly release all the way back down to our tabletop, rock it out side to side. Good. We're going to come into a fairly intense hip opener now. So if you're pregnant or if you've got any SI issues, you might want to skip this one. You can do frog one-sided, so you keep the knee in the midline and let one side come out as opposed to two. If you're coming into the full variation of frog, support the chest with the hands underneath and then slowly let the knees fall out to the side, and then we turn the toes out. So it is quite intense. You could bring a bolster underneath the chest. So you can support with the hands as much or as little as you need. So maybe you're up high, maybe you don't actually come down to the forearms and you just let the legs come out to the side. Breathing it here. Reminding, I love you, I'm listening. If at any time it's too much, you can rock forward, tuck the toes back in, come to sit back, move the knees in. If it's okay to stay in your frog a little bit longer, explore how staying feels. Explore what your body says. Breathing here. Good, and then gently bring the knees back in. Going to bring them all the way in towards each other, sitting back on the heels, finding some length in the spine, maybe rolling the shoulders a couple of times. And just closing down the eyes here. Could feel nice to bring hands to heart. I love you. I'm listening. Good. Let's bring the left hand behind us. So reaching behind the body, fingertips pressing away. And then the other arm is coming up and over, stretching behind us. And then look down towards that back hand, almost like you're moving into a bit of a twist. Gently releasing back to center. Take the other hand down behind you and then guide that other one up and over. Keep pressing into the fingertips behind you so that arm is still nice and active, back is straight. See if you can shift the gaze, find a little bit of a twist here as well. Good, gently come back to center. So we're coming back into our tabletop now, but instead of having our hands as we normally do, we're going to turn them. So you might turn them just so the fingertips are on the side. You could turn them so that the fingertips are pointing back behind you. This will change how this feels. You might take the hands out a little wider than shoulder distance if that feels better for you. And then we're just going to do some circles here, exploring how that feels through the wrists. Round and round. So go one way and then the other. Good, and then coming back, turning the hands. We're going to come down and have a seat. And we're going to finish our physical practice today just by sitting and coming back to that intention that we started with of showing self-love and self-acceptance. Because when you're a mum or trying to be a mum or almost a mum, I really do believe the way that you feel about yourself is the most important thing. The way that you feel sets the tone for the entire family. And you'll notice this when you're cranky, the way that you interact with everyone around you changes because of that. And when you're not feeling good about yourself, the way that you interact with your partner, with your children, with your loved ones is impacted. And so I want us to channel our energy and our focus onto ourselves and hopefully move towards this place where we really can feel that love and acceptance of ourselves that often we freely feel for other people, but that we can find harder to feel for ourselves. So even if today saying I love you to yourself feels a bit kooky, a bit strange, lean into it. The more we do it, the more we show up and say, I love you, I'm listening. When that negative soundtrack starts, the easier it's going to become to lean into that. So let's do that today. Closing down the eyes, we're going to bring the hands to heart. Just tenderly holding our own body. Maybe you allow yourself to smile, as if you're smiling down on yourself, watching yourself in this moment. And sometimes when we're feeling a little lost or confused or maybe a bit down on ourselves, that can be the thing that we ruminate on. We go around and around on the negative, on all the things that don't work, on all the things that are wrong. What if we could make some space, could breathe into that place in our body and just say, I love you. I love you in spite of all the things that aren't working. I love you in spite of all the things that I feel are wrong or shouldn't be. I love you in spite of the exhaustion. I love you as you are in this moment for all your imperfections. And I'm listening. And I'm listening without expectation of an immediate answer. I'm listening for wisdom that will come at all the times I don't expect it. I'm listening for that gut feeling, for that sensation of knowing without words. I'm listening. Just breathing here in this space. Knowing that at any time you need, when you're feeling frazzled or stressed or anxious or cranky, upset, when you're feeling down on yourself, when you're feeling lost, you can come back to this. Hands on heart. I love you. I'm listening. When you're ready, start to slowly release the hands, blinking open the eyes. Coming back into the body, into this time and space, here and now. Thank you for sharing this practice with me today. It feels like an important one. And it feels like we're on the right track. We're in this together. There are so many of us feeling this same collective wanting something different, maybe feeling a little bit like we don't fit in anymore, or the way we thought of ourselves has now changed, and that's okay. And I know I've been in seasons of feeling so lost. And I know that focusing on that feeling of being lost has only perpetuated it. And when I could instead make some space in my body, make some space in my day, some time just for me, just to sit and to find a way to accept that this is what it's meant to be, that I'm not meant to know, that it's okay to be in this space of feeling lost. But I can come back to, I love you anyway. I love you despite all of that. Then there's some really beautiful peace to find here. And to be able to share that with you, and to share this practice with you and this connection with you, just means the world to me. So thank you for being here. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.